And this is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor and the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network, I think we're calling it this week, for the lack of better words. We do air check between 3:30 and 5 Eastern Time, and then post it within a couple of days back up onto YouTube. So anybody that might be interested in checking out their audio can give us a shout. We'll record it. We are recording continuously from now until 5 Eastern, and then we'll post it at a later date up on YouTube. Right now, let's check with Charlie, K1GZL. Charlie?
GZL. Charlie? Okay, Jim, 9 plus 15 on that one on peaks. Beautiful copy up here on this 8th of March 2019 at, 3:32 in the afternoon Eastern Standard Time. Very fine, and we're still loaded with snow out here on the ground. Still loaded with snow, and it looks like it's going to stick around for another month or so, until at least the middle of April before we get rid of it. So you sound great, perfect audio, no problems copying there, Jim. KC9VKV, K1GZL, Clarksville, northern New Hampshire, on the Quebec border of Canada.
Roger, Charlie. Now, you were mentioning the temperature. You were having a Miami holiday down there?
Miami holiday down there? Oh, yes. Yes. The normal high is about 28 degrees, but compared to what we had a high yesterday on the 7th of March. We had a high yesterday of 10 degrees, a high, and a low of -9 below zero. The day before, the high was 9 above zero, and the low was, I believe, 1 below. But some of the valleys yesterday morning were down to 20 below. So it's been a fairly cold winter. We've had interludes of warm weather, but it really it's beautiful out there. But it's not so good when you have high winds blowing and the temperature is way down. Then that chill factor gets in there, and boy, you feel it. Go ahead.
Oh, roger that, Charlie. And FYI, we are using the Arlington, Virginia SDR. Also, this afternoon, we'll be using the Rochester, New York SDR, the Raleigh, North Carolina SDR, and the Milford, PA SDR. The idea there is that maybe we can come up with a better receive point, not necessarily closer to the folks that we're talking with that we might not have a good copy on, but you never can tell. But options are always better than none, so we are running 4 options this afternoon versus just 1. Roger, Charlie?
Just 1. Roger, Charlie? Oh, yeah. Roger on that. I'll just give you an idea. Right now, you're 20 over 9. Remarkable. 20 over 9. The noise level's about a 6 or a 7. So here's about 5 seconds of how that transmission was coming in. Here's the recording. Not necessarily closer to the folks that we're talking with that we might not have a good copy on, but you never can tell. But options are always better than none, so we are running 4 options this afternoon versus just 1. Roger, Charlie? Okay, could you copy that, Jeff?
Perfect, Charlie. Thank you so very much. I appreciate that, sir. And so I'm going to leave you with your 30-degree Miami weather up there, Roger.
Roger. Okay, Jim, we'll say 73. 73. Catch you next Friday. And we are going to expect on Sunday afternoon and evening some snow. I don't think an awful lot, but then again we'll have snow showers Monday and Tuesday, and that could add up a little bit more. So far we're up to just about 212 inches of snow for the season if you add them all up. But of course not that much on the ground. We'd never get out of here if that was the case. Okay, 73, Jim. Good luck with the net, and we'll talk to you next Friday, hopefully. But don't forget, we'll be on daylight time, and we may have daytime absorption between our distances. KC9VKV, K1GZL. It's been perfect.
Roger, Roger, Charlie. 3's that way, sir. You have yourself a good afternoon. And this is the QSO-VLOG network where we record Aircheck between now and 5 Eastern time. So if you've got a radio, you want to hear the audio, give us a shout. This is KC9VKV.
KC9VKV.
4 QNT.
Station QNT, come back with a call again, please.
Okay, very good, Jim. It's November 4, Quebec, November Tango. Name is Art, Alpha Radio Tango. It's been a little while, but I've checked in with you before. Go ahead.
Oh, Roger, Roger. And what radio are you running today?
All right, Jim. Well, actually, it's a new radio. This is the Anon Apache Labs. It's their newest model. It's the 7000 DLE Mark II. They just did a little revision, redesign of the main board. New cabinet, heat sink, and pretty nice stuff. It's actually 002 on the serial number, so I got in line a long time ago, but finally came in and implementing the Pure Signal, the adaptive pre-distortion software, so kind of tightens up any IMDs and flares like that on each side of the waterfall and such, and I'm happy I can at least give it a go here, and then, of course, bring it up later once you upload the show. So really good stuff. Back to you, Jim. KC9VKV from N4QNT.
Roger, Roger. Looks like signal-wise you're doing about 15 dB over my noise level, which is, starting to equate like 15 over S9. I mean, it's, for all practical purposes, it seems to be about the same, so I'm going to be calling it that, although I am looking at the output of the receiver on a VU meter, and, it's I set it for 0 voice level, and then after the voice is gone, the noise remains, so I just read what the level is on the noise after setting 0 for voice peaks. And it seems to work out. Well, now let me ask you, how much physical radio is that unit? I mean, is it mostly computer or is it actual physical radio stuff?
Well, this particular model is mostly radio. The only difference is it's all controlled and interfaced with a computer. So software defined. Basically, bring your own keyboard, bring your own mouse. In my case, bring your own MIDI controller. Those famous MIDI controllers with the big wheels. DJs use them, I guess, for controlling a kind of a music mix thing. But with the USB port, the software in the Anon sees that MIDI controller. So I can actually program the push buttons, the sliders, and of course the big dial wheel as a VFO. So I feel like I can change the frequency just like any radio. Inside the blank case, which is basically a cabinet, which is all heatsink, in the back, of course, are the hookups. So, you're going to have your NIC connector to the computer, SO239s for different antennas, and, of course, input, outputs, speaker, mic, voltage, and things like that. So once the computer sees it, it's all software driven. Now, of course, Flex came out with their version where you can have the blank box and control it just the way I explained, or they put the M, the Maestro, in front of the radio, so now you have a screen and controls and operate it like an everyday radio that we're used to. So there's so many different offerings now for what people like or might not like. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Inside, of course, is the PA circuit, 100 watts out, just like any regular basic radio, and then the main control board for the transmit and receive side. But like I said, it's all interfaced via the PC outboard. KC9VKV, N4QNT, Art, North Carolina.
Roger, Art. Now, let me ask you, your output from the receiver, does that finally trickle out through the computer audio out?
Well, yes, it can. It can. So the basic, once it gets received through the antenna network, of course, all through that sampling and everything that takes the signal in, now you have options. You can go just external speaker, just one speaker coming from the radio itself or the box itself. With like a power speaker or like good old PC speakers for a computer, plug that in the wall AC power, and then 1/8" mini or 1/4" jack out of that to here. Or in my case, I like to go out to a mixer, some kind of a mixer board, so I can control all the radios via the mixer and PC audio and such. So there's a lot of ways to implement the receiver output.
Roger, Roger. Now, does that unit include audio spectrum analyzer?
Well, yeah, it's built into the software. So once you load the Open Power SDR, everything is basically on the screen. You can have an oscilloscope going to look at your audio. You can actually have a vertical shaped pan adapter, and then read anywhere from 0 out to whatever your bandwidth is, so you can see your highs and lows and all the quadrants that you want to EQ. So if you want to see more heaviness in the 80 hertz range, as soon as you enhance that EQ, you see it on the pan adapter bounce up and down immediately, or roll or pull off some of the treble, and you really get to not only hear it, you see it as well as you're transmitting.
Roger. So when you're looking at the pan adapter, you're seeing a spectrum of RF space, and the residual noise, without any carriers or anything, should be flat from one side to the other side as you look at it, Roger?
Pretty much. There's always peaks and valleys. So the old analogy, I guess, in the audio game is like a Bart Simpson haircut, as you will. Depending on where you have your bandwidth and frequency and highs and lows set at as you're transmitting, your audio, critiquing and detailing the audio. So those little peaks and valleys will jump up and down accordingly, like a traditional pan adapter. So exactly what I see on the receive is exactly what I see when I PTT and start transmitting. So it's a real nice reference to monitor your audio out. Go ahead.
Roger, Roger. I was thinking more from the receive standpoint, that you're looking at a chunk of space and time, and theoretically then the way that receive is so linear that display is going to be, just almost with the ups and downs, but averaging just straight across flat response on the receive audio out.
Okay, yeah. And that could be adjusted accordingly with the AGC threshold, so you can minimize the noise floor or really bring it up and see all the signals across the whole spectrum. Like right now I'm looking down at 7.110 all the way up to 72670. And I could, as soon as I unkey and you're not transmitting, of course I could see all those signals across the pan adapter, which is, kind of like a fish finder. And it's more or less, you did mention the SDRs before. So it kind of gives you a little feel of what the experience is here with this radio, except I'm transmitting. But it's kind of set up just like you see with the web SDRs on the computer. Go ahead.
Roger, Roger, yes, and you never know what fish you're going to catch. It's a blip on the screen, and then but it gives you a good indication of the signals that you might want to check out, as opposed to having to roam around with a VFO and listen and try to figure out what's happening, so you can see the whole ball of wax at one time. I'm sure you're going to find the new edition most interesting. Like you said, I think you have said you've had it a week, so I'm sure you're just beginning to understand what all's in the package, Roger.
Oh yeah. It actually is an upgrade. So I've had the past model or previous model, and kind of learned and understand how it operates. There are some new features in this radio, so we're learning as we're going along. But it's fun, and experimenting. It's part of the hobby, and have fun. Different types of radios and equipment and such. I just wanted to make mention, Jim. You did mention those web SDRs earlier. I'm not sure if you're talking about websdr.org. Those are great, but I hope maybe you already know, but I do want to mention the other one that's out there, which is actually far superior. A lot more adjustments, a lot more filtering. You can really do a lot more, and it's called SDR.Hotel Uniform. So instead of .com or .net, it's .hu. So when you have some free time, check out sdr.hu. Over.
Roger, that's the main program that I'm using, SDR-HU, and from those I've pulled probably about 20 into my favorites, but I do have the whole SDR-HU program in these Fire Sticks. I'm using Amazon Fire Stick units, tablets, and they're really neat. I've got 2 of them, and their access time from selection in my favorites to full display is around 6 seconds. So you know, I can tolerate that. Plus, I'm using another computer, standalone computer, as a I guess that's Milford PA on that one. So it does take up a little concentration, but I'm sure it'll take up less concentration the more I'm become familiar with them. I just found out how to make them not go to sleep. There's a code that you have to crank in there so they will stay awake. I'm not sure how awake they'll stay, but they won't power down at least. Roger.
Oh, fantastic. So you're well aware of it. Yeah, to me it's the more advanced version of, say, the websdr.org, which is, you know, they've been around a while, but I like this network, and the interface is really nice to work with. And you might be familiar when you have one of the receivers open on the right side towards the bottom where it says extension. When you do a drop-down menu there, you'll see the, the TDOA, Tango Delta Oscar Alpha, which is the direction finding service. And so what's cool about that is you could just go across the map in Foreland or wherever you're located and click on at least 6 receivers and then click sample. And basically, if, you know, someone is doing something, whatever, I don't want to go there, but, you know, playing for a length of time or some kind of whatever, it's incredible how accurate that is. It goes right down latitude, longitude, right to the city. So I don't know if you've experienced that feature on the SDR.HU. Over.
No, I'm kind of keeping it in its most simple form for me at the moment, so I don't have to really kill myself trying to figure out what I'm doing. I just switched over to the Milford PA as you spoke, and I'm getting a perfect signal from Milford PA through the Internet SDR. Roger.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, so you can get a good example of that good tight waterfall coming down, and a great example of pure signal, adaptive pre-distortion, basically correcting the signal from any kind of IMD emissions or spurious flares and things like that from the amp. So really into it, and it's neat that you can actually not only hear it but see it as well, you know, how pure signal works. All right. Well, with that, Jim, I appreciate the time here, and you know, I know how it works. I'll listen later, maybe whenever, you know, at your convenience, of course. Once you do the upload later tonight or sometime tomorrow, I'll tune into YouTube and check things out. That way, I can get a good ear on what's happening here with the transmission. So with that, I'll hopefully more will come in and check in, and I'll say 7-3 for now. Great weekend, and thanks for the time. And I'll listen out for any final KC9VKV from N4QNT.
Roger, Art. Just switched back to my local, and I'm noticing a frequency response difference between the Internet SDR audio and my local. I have looked at my local and adjusted my local with a spectrum analyzer to check the flatness from you know, like 100 cycles on past 4K, and it's very flat as I'm looking back on it through the spectrum analyzer. But on the Internet SDRs, it sounds like they are maybe rolling off the bottom end somewhere around 150, 200 cycles. I'm guessing just by looking at it. I haven't had a chance to even. What I probably should do is just to take one of those to a blank frequency and just look what the residual noise flatness is on that chunk of space. I'll probably get to that one of these days. Anyway, Art, 3's that way, sir. Thanks for the drop by, and maybe check in next Friday afternoon if you get a chance, and we'll compare notes and find out what's new and like that. So 3's for now, and we'll catch you later. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, and this is the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. If you have a radio that you want to check the audio, give us a shout. We are recording from now until 5. This is KC9VKV.
This is 203 X-ray Bravo Oscar.
Heard somebody out there. Come back again with the call sign.
Victor
Echo 3 X-ray.
Okay, I was trying to find you on the SDR. This is Jim. What's the name there?
This is Jim. What's the name there?
Yes, the name here is Bart. Good afternoon. Bravo Oscar.
Oh, is this Bart from Canada?
Bart from Canada.
Roger, Roger.
Roger, now I usually have a good local signal on you, and I had to go to, let's see, where am I now? I think, the Arlington, Virginia SDR, Roger.
Virginia SDR, Roger.
Oh, Roger, this radio does not produce a lot of power. I'm averaging around 25 watts right now. That's pretty low. In any case, just wanted to see how it sounds on the air.
Roger, Bart. Well, gosh, now let me ask you, are you using the windscreen on that microphone?
The screen on that microphone.
This is an MC60 Kenwood microphone, and I didn't think I need a windscreen on that.
Roger, and you're running 25 watts on that radio?
25 watts on that radio.
Roger, Roger. Well, you're going to be QRT here shortly, Roger.
QRT here shortly, Roger.
Well, hopefully not too soon.
That's, well, 25 watts, that's, I wonder what the distance is. What would you figure the distance between you and I might be?
Between you and I might be.
It would be probably, 700-800 miles.
Yeah, I would think that, 800. So figure, let's see, how many, 25 watts into 800, and trying to figure out how much power it takes per mile to get here, Roger.
Per mile to get here, Roger.
Roger. I guess you don't have a great enough
Okay, Bart, the signal has kind of dropped down a little bit there. You were under my noise level that time. So let me say 3's for now. And with just a question, when you normally talk to me on the other radios, are you running about 100 watts or more?
100 watts or more.
Roger that, Roger that. Well, let me say 3's for now, Bart. Thanks for checking in, man. And like I say, you did make the trip on that 25 watts. So with the band conditions are the way they are, that's a good trip, Roger.
That's a good trip, Roger.
Roger, 3's underway, sir, and you have a good afternoon. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, and the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio you want to check out the audio, give us a shout. We are recording between now and 5, and we'll post it later on YouTube. This is KC9VKV.
This is KC9VKV.
KC3 IFO.
I was about 3 in there. The loudest one. Come back.
KC3 IFO.
IFO station. This is KC9VKV. Come back with a call again.
Yeah, it's Kilo Charlie 3, India Foxtrot Oscar. Name here is Joe, Juliet Oscar Echo, north of Washington, D.C.
Roger that. So I should check out the Arlington, Virginia SDR on that. Come back just for a minute there and tell me about your antenna system, Roger.
Roger. Through 80, obviously running on 40 right now. My rig is a 991A at 100 watts.
Roger. The name there was Joe. Is that a Roger?
Roger, Roger.
Roger, Joe. Well, I've got looks to be about a 6 dB over my noise level there. Like I say, today is not an exceptional day on 40. Roger.
Roger, Roger. Can I get your call sign one more time, sir?
Yes, sir. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, KC9VKV. And let me drop down to 100 watts so you might see what we're doing here. All right, we're at 100 watts right now. This is 100 watts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 100 watts, and there's the rest of it, Roger.
Roger, Roger. What is your QTH?
We're next door to Louisville, Kentucky. We're just across the mighty Ohio River from Louisville, Kentucky, Roger, in Indiana.
Roger, Roger. I'm going to say 73. Thanks for the contact. I'm going to the app and listening.
Roger. I couldn't tell much about the audio. The signal was towards my noise level, so maybe next time I can hear your audio a little bit better and see what you're sounding like, Roger.
Next time, KC3, IFO.
Roger. Now, this is KC9VKV. Is somebody tuning up? Please do not tune up on an active frequency. Do it up 3 or down 3 or somewhere else other than an active frequency. It's not polite. Mother Nature doesn't like it either. She'll put the curse on you. I'm kidding, but don't tune up on an active frequency. This is KC9VKV. Anybody got a radio they want to check out the audio? Give me a shout.
Kilowatt 4, Hotel Echo Whiskey.
Kilowatt 4, Echo Hotel Whiskey. Go.
Check that. Hotel Echo Whiskey, high energy watts.
All right, come back with a whole call sign.
Oh, Roger. Kilowatt 4, Hotel Echo Whiskey. Roger.
I got you. And the name, please.
Name is Joe, Juliet Oscar Echo. And I know we've talked before. Had a lot of fun with this radio since we last spoke, and I just wanted to know what your opinion is of it still. It's an ICOM 7300 operating out of a motorhome, and it's on the Eagle 1 vertical antenna mounted to the top of our ladder on the back of the motorhome. Have no amplifier and stock mic, and it's set up as it has been for the last couple of months, Roger.
Oh, Roger, you know, the most outstanding thing I think about the 7300 is the Stonewall limiter. I mean, that, as you tune up, it doesn't, that limiter just holds everything right there, and you just get fatter when you turn up, Roger.
Oh, well, I'm a little overweight right now, but I know what you mean. Aye.
Roger, now where might you be physically in the geography?
Sorry, I should have told you. I'm just outside of Raleigh, North Carolina, town of Clayton. We're east-south 20 miles, and which is located in east-central North Carolina.
Roger that. Now, you know, I'm running 4 SDRs, well, actually 3 SDRs in my regular local, and you are outstanding on my local antenna, and you are coming through very well on the Milford, PA SDR, but believe it or not, you're not even there on the Raleigh SDR, so I guess you're just too close to get the bounce on that one.
Oh, roger that. More than likely, yeah. Over the weeks, I've been noticing this radio does some outstanding things, flat-footed. And in fact, one of the networks I operate on is the RV Service Net on 7191 every morning from 7 to 9. I've been told that I'm the mouth of North Carolina. And are you running an amplifier? And of course, I'm not running an amplifier. I just have a well-tuned up radio.
Oh, well, the audio, you're running probably about 2 dB dynamic range about 2 dB, which is probably about 90% average peak modulation, somewhere in there. Really outstanding. And the only one I've really seen to run like that, that 7610 with that drive control can just squash the audio down to half a dB dynamic range. It just, when you look at it on a VU meter, it just looks like the meters are like reading plate voltage on a transmitter. It's just barely swinging. Instead of what you'd normally think would be a VU meter, would be swinging back and forth from 0 to 100, or 0 to from 0 back down to minus 20 or something like that. But that 7610 just holds it up there to like a half a dB of dynamic range. So, but your radio, the way you've got it set up, you're running about 2 dB, which is about 1 dB fatter than the normal 7300. So you're cranking on that one, Roger.
Roger that. Yeah, I've got to answer a phone call now, so I'm going to go QRT. Talk to you in a moment.
Roger. 3Z-Wave, sir, and good sounding radio. Always. And can't have a bad sounding 7300. It's against the rules. Mother Nature and all things, it just doesn't happen. 7300 is a great radio. This is KC9VKV, and we are recording from now until 5. If you've got a radio you want to check the audio, give us a shout. We are recording. This is KC9VKV.
K3 Delta Papa Tango.
KC9VKV, this is K2RC.
K2RC, go ahead, what's the name?
The name here is Ray Romeo Alpha Yankee, and I'm operating out of Mount Airy, Maryland, about 37 miles north of the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area.
Roger, great signal. Looks like to be about a 10 over, Roger.
Very good. I just thought I was listening. Hello? I couldn't hear him very well, though. Anyway, you were talking about the 7300. I also have a 7300. I was just curious how it compares to the other guy you were listening to. Go ahead.
Well, you might need a little fattening. I would suggest running the compressor and put the compressor in gear at about a 3. About a 3 on the compressor. Are you familiar with your radio?
It would be a while. I have a compressor on there right now, but I think I have it operating pretty lightly. I would have to add a little bit more to it, I think.
Lighter than a 3?
I don't know. Let me see. I have to figure out how to open that up and take a look at what the setting is.
All right. Maybe we can get you a whole setup here where you too can be 3 dB dynamic range or thereabouts. It might be an experiment. I have an experiment in mind, sir, if conditions permit and you are able to find all the aspects to that 7300.
I have the compressor looking at it right now, and it's showing 2 dB. I think that's what it's saying right now.
Well, is it a 0 to 10 adjustment? You want to put it on a 3.
Well, it says 0 to 2 is at the other end of the scale.
You want to engage it at about a third of its capabilities, whatever that might be in lingo. You know, if you could figure out where half is, then a third would be close, a little bit more than half of a half.
Okay, I got it set on 3 right now. How does that sound?
All right, we're coming along. Now, what I want you to do is take a look at your mic gain and see where you've got that set.
37%.
All right, take that up to about 50.
How's that sound?
All right, tell me about your antenna system.
You will find this entertaining, but I'll have to tell you anyway. My antenna is an 88-foot double extended ZEP cut for 20 meters, and right now I'm operating it with a Polestar AT2K matchbox. The interesting thing about it is it's sitting about 15 feet above the ground, and I believe that the reason it seems to work fairly well is that the surrounding terrain is much lower than where it's sitting. It's sort of on a ridge. So the effective height is greater, much greater. But anyway, it's not sitting very high up. Running it with a Polestar LA1K amplifier. Right now putting out what looks to be about 800 or so watts.
Roger that. Now, which mic are you using?
Using the ICOM SM30.
All right. Do you know where your equalization is?
Oh boy, now I have to go dig that out of the menus to figure out what I've got there. I'll have to go look at that.
All right, take a note. When you get to find out where your equalization is, put about 3 clicks more on the top end. I think that 7300 has 2 EQ situation, so just on the top end, add 3 plus 3 at whatever reading you have right now. Add plus 3 to that.
Roger that. Let me play with some of these menus here, see if I can get to that.
Alrighty. Gosh, in the book would tell you pretty quick, but I realize sometimes we go exploring without the map. Anyway, 7300 is, like I say, the radio of the hour, and running that radio is just a delight. I get to run it remotely on the transmit side. I've never really considered what it might be like on the receive side of a 7300. I'm just on the transmit side.
Okay, give me a hint. What's the quickest way to get into that transmit menu again? I think it's one of the quick menus. Is that how you get there?
I don't think Quick would do it. Quick, maybe. I know Quick takes you to a drive in the 7610. I'm not exactly sure. Check it out there. Hit Quick and see where you go.
Nah, it just says meter and a couple of other functions. It doesn't have the transmit in there. I'll have to look at something else here.
Roger. Well, probably, I would say, do you have your book close by?
I do. I'll have to look it up here.
Repeat station with information. Try again.
Go to menu and settings.
Menu and settings, I think it is there. Menu and settings. Thank you.
He's right. Okay, so you're saying tone control?
Yes, sir. Open that up.
Okay, so treble is setting right now at +3, and you're saying a little bit more?
Yeah, put another 3 on it. Let me hear you.
Apparently it only goes to +5, so that's where she is right now.
Okay, now go to the bottom end and add +2.
Okay, how's that sound?
Gosh, we already went through the antenna. Tell me something for about 15 seconds.
Okay, how does that sound with my voice counting up from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Anything better there? Sound any different?
Sounds perfect. Your dynamic range is like about a 2 dB. So it's you are being all that you can be, Roger, I think.
Well, I appreciate that little tune-up session. I spoke with another ham several years ago, right after I got the radio, and he kind of walked me through all this, some settings that he had done, and most people have given me fairly good audio reports, but apparently since you've got the SDRs there looking very carefully at the spectrum that I'm putting out, I guess you can help me to fine-tune it, but I appreciate you giving me that feedback.
Roger that. And I would suggest, and not that you need it necessarily, but if you get a chance or opportunity to get a windscreen for that mic, you would just be solving so many potential problems. I'm not saying that I didn't detect many anomalies in that microphone that would be a dire situation to get a windscreen, but a windscreen, a foam windscreen does take away many of the potential problems, and it doesn't really cost any frequency response, and it's just a nice insurance policy that you're not going to have a problem.
Actually, I already have a windscreen on it, and it's kind of an interesting story. The microphone itself doesn't come with a windscreen, but I have a Heil Pro headset that has a boom mic, and I played with that for a while, and I didn't like the way it sounded. So when I got this SM30, I said, wait a minute, I could always use the windscreen, so there was a little foam windscreen sitting on the other one, so I stuck it on the ICOM microphone, so it has a little bit of protection there.
Oh, yeah, great, super. You're ready, boy. You got it going on.
Thank you very much. Now, you said earlier, you said you were going down to 100 watts. You went up to full power, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, right now we're at about a kW, and I'll drop down. This is 100 watts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's back to kW, Roger.
Okay, yeah, you're running about 10 over 9 when you're at a kilowatt level. But I thought it was pretty good. The band is actually acting pretty nice. According to QRZ, you're about 470 miles distant from me, and that's a pretty nice sounding signal. I'm assuming you have a much more sophisticated antenna than I do.
Well, this is a simple inverted V at about 35 feet. But we do have a kind of an interesting tuning aspect to it. We are not using a transformer, only using the ugly coil there to keep the RF from coming back down the line. But when we tune the inverted V, we on the ground side, we use that to adjust the SWR. And on the high side, we use that to adjust the frequency. So obviously, when you work on one, you need to adjust the other. So, but we're always adjusting the SWR on the negative side and always bringing it back onto frequency on the positive side. So we're running 3 inverted Vs on that tower, and they're running 1.01 to 1, Roger.
Sounds like a pretty nice setup. Yeah, I have open wire line feeding the ZEP out there, and I find that to be the best way to go, because you can. I use that antenna for all bands except for I can't operate down to 80. At 88 foot long, it's pushing it a little bit at 80, but 40 on up, it seems to do well. You can tune it fairly decently. So I have limited real estate here for operating with antennas, so I just basically have to have one antenna, and I sort of reasoned that this one was the best compromise, especially if 20 meters happens to be working to some reasonable degree. This thing works quite nicely, gives me a little bit extra boost on 20 meters, a little extra gain. Theoretically, it should be 3 dB more than a dipole. It works fairly well. It doesn't do too bad on 40 either. So anyway, well, it's good talking with you, James. I appreciate all the help getting the radio tuned up, and 73s to you. Have a great day.
Roger, and just before you go, and out of curiosity, I want you to go to your ALC, and I am going to be a Kreskin, and I'm going to predict that you will be running a 2/3 scale on your ALC.
Hang on, let me get the meter setting here. Actually, let's see, I've got it set about half scale, I think, just about halfway up.
Okay, well, great. I was thinking you might be a little bit further into the ALC, but that's great. I usually recommend running between half and 2/3 scale ALC. So great, you're good to go.
Very good. You have a great day, and hope to hear you again on the bands here.
Roger, Roger. Well, don't be a stranger. We'll probably be here next Friday afternoon, so if you get a chance, drop by and share, the most interesting things that you've run across between now and then, or then and now. Threes. Catch you later, Art. This is KC9VKV.
Take care, James. KC9VKV is K2RC, out and clear.
Roger. And this is KC9VKV and the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio, you want to check the audio, give us a shout. We are standing by.
Kilo 3 Delta Papa Tango.
Delta Papa Tango station. Come back with a call again, please.
Roger. Kilowatt 3 K3 Delta Papa Tango. Tim in Annapolis. Just wondering if K1GZL is still around.
I guess he isn't. He was in here early. We usually open up the network with Charlie. Roger.
Roger. I go back to the mid-'60s, working Charlie on 40 meters with some other friends local here in in Maryland, and heard him, but I didn't have a chance to get on the air. We're using a 7610 here in the center element on our stepper beam, and it's only up about 40 feet right now. Go ahead.
Roger. Your radio's a 7610?
Yes, it is, and you're 20 over 9 on peak. Very nice signal.
Roger. Well, of course, that 7610 is a three-ring circus within itself. I was just listening to your audio, and it sounded like you might be a little on the bassy side. If I could suggest a couple of things for you, Roger.
Yep. Go ahead.
I would roll two off on the bottom side, and 2 up on the high side, on the top side.
I'm running through the menu right now.
Settings.
Okay, I'm 1 at the bass and +3 on the treble. You want to do what?
Roll a couple off the bottom side, negative off the bottom side. From where you are, roll 2.
Okay, that's 2 less on the bass.
All right, and then on the top side, add 1. Let's see where it goes.
Okay, that's 1 on the top, on the treble.
Alrighty, and tell me about your antenna.
It's a loop antenna. The stepper beam has a loop for 40 meters. It's it's the only antenna I have for 40 right now. My other one came down. I haven't had a chance to put it back up.
Roger that. Now, just out of curiosity, if you hit quick and open up quick and take a look at your drive and tell me what the settings are on that.
%50 on the drive. It's the default setting.
Roger. And are you usually, what I'm looking for is about a 3 dB dynamic range, 2.5 to 3 dB dynamic range, which is pretty fat. And I usually start off with about a 3 on the compressor. If that's a 1 to 10, I would suggest a 3 on the compressor. Roger.
Okay, that was 5 on the compressor. Now it's 3.
Roger. And what's your mic gain?
That's default. I think it's 50.
All right. So let's go back to a drive and bring the drive up to about 55.
55.
All right, and I need about 20 seconds of your talking so I can hear what's going on. Roger.
Roger. Okay. Back to Charlie. I remember when he was in Vermont, he had a 3-element beam on 40 meters. It was held up by 6 telephone poles. I remember that vividly. He was quite a character then, and sounds like he's doing well. I hope he's in good health, and if I don't get back again next Friday to talk to him, would you please tell him that the group from Maryland talk about him occasionally, and somebody usually runs into him, so that's the first I've heard him. Go ahead.
Should I say Tim?
Yeah, Roger.
And what was the call one more time?
I'm sorry, K3, Delta, Papa, Tango.
Roger, I got that. And right now I'm saying that you're looking at the output of your audio on a VU meter from my receiver. It looks like you're running right at a 2.5 to 3 dB dynamic range. So you're pretty fat, Roger.
Well, I appreciate it. I do. You said something about running the recordings on YouTube.
Roger, we have been running recording Aircheck from 3:30 till 5 Eastern, so we are running now. And what we do is post it up on YouTube. We have a QSO-VLOG page on YouTube. If you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. And on that page, you'll be looking for a QSO-VLOG entitled My Group Aircheck 3819, which is today's date. My Group Aircheck 3819. Roger?
Okay, Roger. I appreciate that. And as I said, if you get a chance to talk to Charlie again any time before I do, please tell him I said hi. Are you hearing me on the same antenna you're transmitting on?
Yes, I am. Right at this moment, we are located near Louisville. We're just across the mighty Ohio River at Louisville. We're on the Indiana side, though.
Okay, Roger. You were just a positive 20 dB over 9. I mean, just pegged it and stayed there the whole transmission. So you're getting quite a nice signal this way. What are you seeing me at?
I'm seeing you at 10 dB, or 10 over S9, Roger.
Roger, we're running similar power. I'm running about a kilowatt now.
Roger. Yeah, I'm looking at my VU meter. I run almost no RF in the front end. I have adjusted just below compression so I can get the cleanest audio signal possible. So when you run like that, you can't really get an S meter reading because there's nothing to read hardly. But I am looking at my meter as far as the residual noise level after I've adjusted U for zero level, and it's falling down to about a 10. And I have noticed there is almost a direct correlation between my minus 10s and 15s and S meter readings of 10 over and 12 over S9.
Well, it certainly sounds good. It certainly looks good. I'm watching you on my scope. Your audio is just filling up the waterfalls real nice from top to bottom and side to side. So thanks again for all this. I'll try to check in on YouTube and look at your YouTube channel, and maybe there'll be somebody else out here that wants to run around the same path I just took with you and see what they're doing. I've had this radio since it's one of the first ones, so I've had it for over a year now. Haven't had any problems that anybody else has had, and I've just got my fingers crossed. Go ahead.
Oh, you've got the radio. I mean, in secret, that is my first choice. But I would not kick a 7300 out of bed. I mean, I love that radio too. So I guess 7610 would be my wildest wish come true. But just in general wishes, I would gladly take a 7300. Roger.
Yeah, I think they sound great, and I think I would go with something like that, except for the fact that I like the work DX, and the second receiver sure comes in handy. Here's my phone, so I'm going to sign with you. 73, thanks again, and I'll look for you again next week.
Roger, Roger. And the new EQ should help you as far as CQDX, because it, and I forgot to ask you, and I know you got a phone line, but you're running widest mode possible, right?
Yes, that's affirmative.
Good, good. 3's that way, sir. Yeah, there's no reason to operate in any other mode but, the best 100 to 2900 or whatever it might be, the best. You don't want to stray too much over 3, but I'll say 3's now, sir, and I'll mention to Charlie when I hear him. This is KC9VKV and the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio, you want to check out the audio, give us a shout. We are recording.
N2 VUE.
Something VUE?
Yes, this is November 2, Bravo Uniform Echo. The name is Ron.
Roger, Ron. How's it going this afternoon?
Oh, it's full good, Jim. Very good. The last time I spoke to you, I had a different microphone. I had got the 7300 here, and I had the 781. Well, today I have the stock mic on the radio, so I figure I get a report from you. Over.
Well, you're running the 7300, right?
Yes, Jim. 7300.
Right. Well, you know, that microphone is my all-time favorite microphone for that radio. Them folks at ICOM are pretty smart guys, and they put a great mic on that 7300 stock. There's just a secret, you know, that you have to run that microphone. It's a handheld condenser microphone. The condenser is what makes it so great. And you have to work it, though, to the side, you know, so you don't get any wind turbulence. Or, you know, they're making these foam windscreens where they're only about 3 inches long now. Instead of, they used to be 6 inches long and cover half the microphone, you know. Now they're just using about 3 inches, and you can put that right over that 7300 and microphone, stock microphone, hand mic, and have absolutely no problems at all with turbulence or, you know, voice anomalies, and you can work it any way you want, Roger.
Yeah, okay, Jim, very fine. Well, I do have a windsock on the hand mic. That's what I'm running right now. And, oh, by the way, you are 10 over 9 right now. 10 over 9 is in New Jersey with a little bit of QSB. But yes, I have a windsock on it, and I'm talking across the mic instead directly into it. Over.
Oh, roger that. Yeah, just, you know, for the cost of windscreen, just the foam windscreen just does so much good, and nothing, no payment on the negative side. It's just amazing. You seldom run into that situation where something is all positive with no negatives, but a foam windscreen mic, foam windscreen is, as far as I can tell, a no negative aspect to it, Roger.
Yes, okay, Jim, very fine. Like I said, yeah, that's, I figure I listened to my audio with the 781, so now I'll listen to it with the hand mic and determine which I like the best. I know you have mentioned many times about the hand mic with the 7300, and well, like I say, everything is, you know, you experiment, try different things and see what's going on. I might have, let me see, I'm going to drop the mic gain. I dropped the mic gain down a little bit. Okay. I might have been hitting a little hard with it. I dropped the mic gain down a little bit, Jim, over.
Roger that. I would go to my ALC and just confirm. You know, that tells a whole ball of wax right there. Your ALC is your friend, and it will tell you. You don't have to rely on another friend to tell you what's going on, because ALC will tell you, and you want to be running between 1/2 and 2/3 on that ALC. I was just curious if you might check your EQ and see what EQ you're running with that hand mic, Roger.
Yes, okay, Jim. I'll do that. I got the bass set at +3, and I have the treble at +2, and I'm at the wide setting. Over.
Roger, you were +3 on the bottom side?
Yes, Jim, +3.
I think I'd pull that back to about a +1. I was just curious. It sounded just a little heavier than the normal hand mic for that 7300, Roger.
Yeah, okay, Jim. I knocked it down until a +1. +1 on the bass right now.
Roger, I think that's good. You know, I tell this story all the time, but it has to do with losing high frequencies, and you know, nothing on this HF band moves by ground wave. It all moves by reflection up in the atmosphere or whatever, you know. And thing is, that's not an absolute perfect reflection. There is some that blows by one point and then is reflected back by another point. And what happens is that the second entry comes back at a slightly different phase angle than the first, and maybe to the point of cancellation of the high frequencies. The cancellation does start to occur at the higher frequencies in the audio spectrum. So when you're talking syllabic range, S's, and articulation, they will be exposed to possible cancellation to some degree by the secondary reflections coming down at less than positive phase angles. Roger?
Okay, Jim, very fine. That's some very good information. And like I say, sometimes I tend to talk a little bit, maybe too loud, or hit the microphone too close to my mouth, and that could sometimes I have a problem with that. But it seems like the only difference between the handheld mic and an external mic is that they can't use the foot switch with the handheld mic. But anyway, so it was good contact with you today. I'll let you make another contact. I'm sure there's someone else out there that's wanting to hear their audio. So Jim, 73, you have a good afternoon, and thank you for coming back to me. KC9VKV, N2BUE.
Roger, Ron. I was just pointing out that there are things that are happening in the real world that you may not be experiencing in your controlled listening box there. You know, I mean, it's one thing just to listen to the technical quality of the microphone in an isolated situation like you were doing, but in the real world there are other things that can happen that, you know, if you added just a little more top end to anticipate the possible problems. That's my thing, you know. I do add a little bit more top than what I would think would be necessary, just because I know that the top's the first thing to happen to lose in the real world. But you know, and as far as the microphones, the only thing better than a 7300 stock hand mic would be a condenser desk mic. So you might think about having a condenser desk mic in your future. Roger?
Yeah, okay, Jim. Yeah, you know what? I have considered that. And that's something I'll definitely look into. And probably in the near future, I will have one. So, yeah, very good advice on off of your end. Okay. Take care, and I'll talk to you later on. KC9VKV, N2BUE.
Roger, 3s are on. Have a good afternoon and good evening. This is KC9VKV, and this is the QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio you want to check out, we are recording between now and 5. Give us a shout.
November 2 Alpha Delta Victor.
There's a November 2 station.
November 2 Alpha Delta Victor N2ADV, over.
I got November 2A something. What's the rest?
November 2 Alpha Delta Victor N2ADV.
Roger, sir. Well, I've got, you're doing about 4 dB, between 3 and 4 dB above my noise level. Let's see where it goes, Roger.
Yeah, let me see if I can give it up tonight.
I was copying you just a little bit better on the Raleigh SDR, but not much. Whereabouts is your location, sir?
I'm in the middle of New York City, Echo India Delta Alpha, right about 4.5 hours north of New York City, and about 4.5 hours south of the Canadian border. So I am on a vertical, going right over your head. Go ahead.
I just went back to my local receiver, and it has improved somewhat. Did you say you were about 4 hours out of New York?
Roger that.
All right, let me just see if I can go to the Rochester, New York SDR, and we'll just see how that goes. That may be enough distance away from it to actually have it work. Come back and tell me about your antenna, sir.
Sure.
About your antenna, sir.
Actually, not too far from a multi-band trapped vertical. It's ground mounted with about 34 wire radials under the grass, and mostly set up for DX. One of these days I'll put up an NVIS antenna, but it's on the ever-growing list of things to do. My name is Jim, it's Juliet India Mike, and like I said, I'm in the city of Oneida, Oscar November Echo India Delta Alpha, about 4.5 hours north of New York City and about 4.5 hours from the Canadian border, so literally right smack in the middle of the stateside.
Roger that. And what radio are you running, sir?
Today, I have a mix of them. Right now I'm using the Flex 6300, and it's mated up to an Ameritron ALS 600 amplifier, a solid-state linear amplifier, and putting out about 600 watts on peak. Go ahead.
Roger that. Well, you're, like I say, you are about 5 dB above my residual noise level, so, you know, the band is not necessarily in good condition this afternoon, Roger.
Yeah, it seems to be up and down. Fairly 1 minute it'll be, you know, a lot of close-in contacts, and the next minute I'll be hearing Europe. So it seems to be up and down and changing a lot stuff that normally it would around this time. I'm watching the pen adapter, and I'm watching stations going from probably about...
Please do not tune up on an active frequency.
You know, probably about 20 dB over S9 to just down to the mud, so it just seems like it's not very stable today, guys.
Yeah, roger that, roger that. You know, time was 100 watts at 400 or 500 miles would be coming in at an 8 or a 9. But, you know, with today and the conditions that 40's in, it is not happening. So, you know, hopefully the band will be getting in better condition as time goes on, Roger.
Yeah, you're tickling over S9, so just about minus 80 dB, so you're looking pretty good here. Got a nice solid signal, so I've got 100% copy, but I'm willing to bet your antenna is a little bit better for this mode of communication, so it seems to be working very well for you.
Roger, it's an inverted V fed at about 35 feet, and it's showing SWR as 1.01 to 1, Roger.
Very good, very good. Yeah, the multi-band trap vertical is, you know, some of it gets lost in the traps, but it's done me very well. And, you know, I spend most of my time on digital and CW, but every once in a while I just do attach a microphone to make sure that it still works. Right?
Roger. Now, does it have a particularly low angle of radiation?
Yeah, the way the vertical is ground mounted. It's really geared towards DX, so a lot of my signal is going straight over your head at a very low angle. So, you know, not a lot goes up and comes straight down. A little bit of it is probably what you're catching.
Roger, and I was just curious, since the angle is low-angle radiation, how does that turn into a ground wave? Like if you were to try to work a mobile, or say 25 or 30 miles, do you think it's advantageous to have a low-angle radiation takeoff to work a mobile?
Well, my position is a little bit unique because I'm fairly high above sea level, so I'm in the hills of the Adirondack Mountains, so right in the foothills, right between the Catskills and the Adirondack. So I can see for probably about 55, 60 miles from my front porch. So a little bit of a cheat there. So if I'm speaking of somebody that's vertically polarized, I usually come in pretty strongly. There are situations where someone's close to actually have full length advantage from moving a vertical. But for anybody who is, you know, kind of further past the hills and out of my line of sight, so there's not a lot of ground wave here, most of it's backscattered. But once they get past the hills and they get out of my line of sight, I lose them fairly quickly. I had a horizontally polarized antenna at one point. I had a hex beam up 35 feet, and you know, it did pretty well for local with speaking of mobile stations, you know, even if they were polarized. But that has gone to the wayside with our ridiculous winds. We regularly get wind at the 70, 80 miles per hour range up here in the hills.
Do not tune up on an active frequency, please. Roger. Well, we did have somebody with bad manners tuning up on the frequency, so I did miss a little bit of that, but, we got them. Problem is, how do you get rid of them? It's not good to tune up on an active frequency. Go 3 clicks up or 4 clicks down or somewhere, but do not tune up on an active frequency. And I know that you can't hear me. We're not actually transmitting from Montreal to Miami and New York to New Mexico. I know you're not in that realm, so you can't hear what I'm saying, but please. Anyway, back to where we were.
Very good. So I've been listening to you for a while. I've actually been doing some emails for work. I'm working from home today. And I've been watching a guy who's actually been tuning and then moving to the FO and trying to find anybody he can step on. So it seems like whoever it is keeps going up and down. I am tracking on I can't hear anything because the way the flex works with the smart SDR is it just follows them no matter what they do. And I can't even tell they're there anymore when I click that button.
Roger. Well, let me say, Threes, glad you dropped by there, and that radio, I wanted to tell you, it has a really good modulation. It's really fat audio. I wish I could have heard more of it from the standpoint of signal strength, but it is what it is. But what I heard, it looked like it was about a 2.5 dB dynamic range, which is really fat. I couldn't get a real nice handle on the equalization, but I didn't hear it as glaring, problems. So I think you're in good shape, Roger.
A little bit of microphone use and a little bit of microphone discipline from years as a singer. So I went through some training for that when I was in college as a music designer for performance engineering. So I try and keep it as flat as I can and kind of let my voice do the work. So you're sounding great here, and real nice signals. It's not bleeding too far out of frame or anything. It's really nice.
Roger, I just went to the Raleigh Internet SDR, and I've got just a little bit better copy. Could you come back slowly, phonetically, with your call sign and name, please?
With your call sign and name, please?
Yes, the name is Jim. Juliet India, Mike or Japan. Whiskey Mr. No, depending on the say, that's phonetic. And the call sign is November 2, Alpha, Delta, Victor, Norway 2, America, Denmark, Victoria. And when you switch, you get to about 20 or 40 FTD over F9. You started at 20 and then peaked at 40 over F9, almost blew me out of the chair, guys.
Roger. Well, I'm just using that for a receiver, so that switch shouldn't really have affected my transmit at all. It's just an internet audio in from that SDR, Roger.
Audio in from that SDR, Roger.
Well, the band changed then, because, man, you kicked to 40 over F9 on that one.
Roger, Jim. Well, let me say 3, sir. We've enjoyed it, and if you get a chance, drop by next Friday. Maybe we'll have a little bit better conditions, and we can listen to you a little cleaner, and maybe suggest some EQ that might be better, or we might just totally agree that you got it absolutely perfect. But so anyway, if you get a chance, join us next Friday afternoon between 3:30 and 5. Roger.
I'll be operating remote, so I'll actually be in the office, but I'll bring that in and
Roger. 3's that way, sir, and have a good afternoon and good evening. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, and the QSO-VLOG net. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. We are Aircheck recording between now and 5. This is KC9VKV.
Recheck, sir.
There's a reject there. Go ahead.
Roger, K4HEW, recheck. Joe down in Raleigh, North Carolina, Roger.
I got, gosh, I'm sorry, one more time on the call sign, please.
Call sign. Kilowatt 4, Hotel Echo Whiskey, Roger.
Roger, Joe. Is this Joe?
Yes, it is. And I was just, I was called away on a phone call, but I came back and I I had a question I wanted to ask, if I may.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah, I've been told that the radio sounds fine. As you noted earlier, the 7300, the ICOM 7300, does a terrific job compressing any top end. It loads the top end, and so it does sound a little more bassy. I'm wondering, how do I reduce that if I wanted to? In other words, to get more for de-exiting rather than just QSOing. Over.
Roger, the secret's all on the bottom end. What's your bottom end EQ right now?
Well, I don't have an EQ, but I do have mic gain. I have compression.
What radio are you running?
7300.
Yes, you do have EQ. Equalization. You have a bottom. You have a two position equalizer, top end and bottom end. Roger.
I'm learning something that I've never done that.
Roger. Do you have your book? Go to systems.
I don't have it in front of me, but I sounds like I need to.
Menu, systems.
Okay. Menu.
I'm sorry, menu settings. And we do have someone that is about a KC or 2 KC off, and gosh, why would you do that? It's going to catch a lot of blow-by, but I'm sure I'm giving as good as I'm getting, so here we are.
Yeah, but I just filtered him out. It's not bothering me. Okay, I did go to settings, or system set.
Roger. Now you find EQ, equalization.
Let me thumb up and down here.
I'll tell you a little about the EQ. Once you get the top end squared away, which is the syllabic range, the articulation, then the whole thing falls back into the bottom EQ, and you can with bottom EQ you can set it for QSO, or you can set it for DX and contesting. So have you found your EQ now?
Yes, I did, and it does give me a mid, a wide, and a narrow, treble and bass. All that's adjustable.
All right, so your bandpass is not part of the EQ, actually. I mean, what you want to do is set the radio for a maximum bandpass, 100 to 2900, Roger?
Okay, it is, yeah.
Okay, then you go to EQ, and you want to cut a little bit more, so I would go down to the bottom end. What's your bottom end EQ now?
Which would be bass, right?
Exactly.
It is a +1.
All right, I would take that to a -1. I would take that control to a -1, and let's listen to you.
All right, that's a -1 right there.
All right, tell me about something I don't know for about 20 seconds.
Okay, the transmitter itself is sitting inside of our motorhome RV, and it's transmitting through a vertical antenna, the Eagle 1 vertical antenna, which is in turn mounted on the very top of the ladder on the back of the RV. It collapses down to about 3 feet tall and extends on up in sections up to almost 40 feet. Roger?
Okay, I'm assuming that you're using the supplied condenser hand mic with the 7300?
Absolutely.
Okay, the best solution for that would be to get a little foam windscreen. They make them like about 3 inches long, and you can just slip it over the upper part of that 7300 hand mic. Roger?
Roger that. I did hear your description of that a bit ago. I'm trying to speak across the mic rather than into it so I don't get puffs of air, but that windscreen would be helpful.
Yes, you're doing a pretty good job, but it's really hard to not have any disturbances that are not, part of the speech. And when you have other things other than what you're saying in there with your audio, it's like you are QRMing yourself. I mean, what you're saying with your mouth are the words that you want them to hear, but sometimes the microphone is interpreting it with a lot of articulation problems, wind turbulence right at the element itself. So you'll be amazed at what happens with your audio when you just put a windscreen over the top of that hand mic. Roger?
What the hell kind of bullshit is he trying to sell you? What the hell kind of bullshit with a windscreen is he trying to sell you?
Sir, you got a problem. Nobody invited you into the conversation.
Quit talking these lies and talking this bullshit.
Take a walk off a short plank.
I'm out here.
Why don't you go to your nearest Quick Mart and buy yourself a bag of dicks and start eating?
We got him. We got him. All the criminally insane.
Those guys are really brain donors. They don't really realize how easy it is to pinpoint them.
Really. Anyway, so as we were saying there about that hand mic, you got the right mic, particularly in a mobile situation, you know. That is the right mic. You just need to get a $4 windscreen for it.
Gotcha. You know what? I'm going to try that, Jim. I appreciate that. So I'm going to be anxious to hear myself on the recording. After I turned that the bass top, we put the bottom, we put that down to a -1. When would that be available on your website, sir?
Within the next couple of days. I usually don't pinpoint it much more than that because, you know, we do quite a bit of stuff, and I don't want to say it's going to be there and it's not. So it should be there within a couple of days. I have one other thought. You might be working that mic now a little bit too far back. You want to, you know, if you work it too far back, you're going to be losing some audio level, and you're also going to be losing some top-end articulation if you, like I say, if you work that mic too far back.
Well, I understand. Okay. I'm looking at the scope now as I transmit. It does look a little different. It's not quite as red as it was earlier.
Roger. You've got the syllabic range in there, though. You might come up one click more on your top end EQ if you want to check that out.
So top end would be treble, right?
Correct.
But it was at +2. It's now at +3. Much different?
Yes, it's more syllabic, and what I usually say is if you get into situations where you have less than perfect audio levels and signal levels, and you're into the noise, the more articulated your audio, the easier it's going to be for somebody that's copying you in the noise level. The more articulated you are, the easier it's going to be for them to hear what you're saying, even though you do have a lot of noise with you.
That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. I understand. Well, Jim, thank you so much for your help, and I'll be listening in the next couple of days or whenever. I'm retired, so never a rush. Have a great one, sir. K4HEW, clearing with KC9 Victor Kilo Victor in Indiana. Thanks a lot, Jim.
Roger, Joe. 3Z Waster. Have a good evening, and hopefully we'll see you next Friday if you get a chance. This is KC9VKV, and this is the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG program, network, as it will. And we are recording live till 5. Hey, I should have a scriptwriter job for that. Live till 5, and if you've got a radio, you want to check out the audio, give us a shout.
Whiskey Foxtrot 0, Yankee.
Whiskey Foxtrot 0, Yankee.
Roger, Jim. Running again an IC 7300 and wondering how the audio sounds here.
Oh, I think you're perfect, sir. It looks really good. Tell me about your antenna for a second.
What I'm running at the moment is a center-fed doublet cut for sort of an extended ZEP, 135 feet, 80-meter center-fed doublet up about 30 feet at the center. Go ahead.
Okay, so I am noticing that maybe we might be able to get a few more items out of that 7300. You're running your compressor engaged at 3?
Let me take a check here, just a second. I've got compression at 3. My mic gain is 70%. And I might mention that I'm actually running a new headset, cheap headset that I bought off of Amazon, the COARSE SB45. I've also got an SM30 desk mic here, along, of course, with the handheld, and I was just curious how the cheap headset sounds.
Sounds good. Sounds good, and the modulation looks good. Just flip over to your ALC for kicks and see what your ALC is reading. And go ahead.
Roger, just a moment. Okay, it looks like it's peaking a little bit in the red up at, see, I'm not sure what the scale is on this, 50%. Looks like it's peaking a little bit in the red.
All right, what you want to do is run that between mid-scale and 2/3. So go to your audio gain, and where did you say that was sitting?
The mic gain's at 70.
All right, bring that mic gain down to 60.
Okay, there's 60. Didn't seem to make a whole lot of difference on the ALC, maybe just a little bit. Go ahead.
Are you out of your red or still in the red?
It's peaking to the red. I see the red appearing every now and then. Go ahead.
Just occasionally?
Roger on that.
I would run it that way. Sounds good. What you don't want to do is just have that red lit all the time.
I appreciate your time and effort in instructing me what to do there. I'll let you get back because I'm sure there's a lot of people wanting to talk to you. Thank you very much, Jim. It's been a pleasure. KC9, Victor King Victor, Whiskey Foxtrot, 0 Yankee. I'm in southern Iowa, by the way. Go ahead.
Roger, Roger. What was the name again?
Name is Mary, India, Kilo, Echo, Mike.
Mary, did you say?
Mike. Mary, India, Kilo, Echo, Mike.
Okay, Mike. I got you. And you said you were where?
Located in southern Iowa, about 60 miles southeast of Des Moines.
I got you, Mike. Good signal. I'd say you're 10 over. 10 over, so great signal. We'll say 3s for now, and if you get a chance, join us next Friday between 3:30 and 5. I'd love to hear you. This is KC9VKV, and this is the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG, and the wife said that we have to be out of here at 5. I have duties, so she says. So I've got time for one more. If there's one more person out there that wants to have their audio preserved, give us a shout. KC9VKV.
November 3, Sierra Golf Whiskey.
November 3, Sierra Golf. What was the rest?
Whiskey.
Roger. And what's the name?
Name is Keith, Kilo Echo India Tango Hotel, and I'm located in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and want an ICOM IC7300 with a stock microphone.
Okay. Options are work that mic a little bit further across, pull it back and work across it as opposed directly into it. If you get a chance and I happen to be by a music store, I would go ahead and get a foam windscreen. They make them now that they're only about 3 inches long, and they'll slip over the top of that hand mic. The hand mic is an excellent hand mic. It just is a condenser mic, and it just needs a little assistance. Roger.
Yeah, copy that. Yeah, I was told to learn how to talk across it and not like this into it, so you don't get the puff and all. But yeah, I'm going to try that. I think that windscreen will make that go away a little better. Because talking across it, I think I do lose a little bit of audio.
Not really lose it. Well, if you pull it back too far, you will lose some top end. But I think the way you're working it under the situation is very good. The only thing better would be just to put a windscreen on it and work it any way you want to, Roger.
All right, appreciate the comeback, and I'll try that in 73. Thanks for the audio check. November 3, Sierra Golf Whiskey.
Roger, Roger. Before you go, let me ask you if you're running your compressor at about a 3.
I'm actually running it at a 4, and I'm running the audio level at about 45%.
Roger, I would pull it back to a 3. I would pull it back to a 3 and check your ALC and see what you're doing there.
All right, yeah, copy that. The ALC right now is floating around, where is it? I don't know, about 10, almost 10, between 10 and 15.
Roger, how would that stand as far as I'm saying mid-scale to 2/3? Yeah, you still got a copy?
Yeah, okay, that's around a 3. Is that better?
Well, you have on that ALC meter, you have an operational range of the ALC, Roger?
Yeah, I'm looking at it. It's still about 8/10. So is that still a little high?
Well, I'm not numbers. I'm not talking numbers. I'm just talking about. Do you have an actual meter for your ALC?
Yeah, I see that. It's up towards the end. It's towards the high end on the ALC.
Roger. It has an operational range sketching on the meter backing. Roger.
Yeah, and I now have the compression at a 3 and the mic gain at 42%.
Roger, and the ALC is now reading, the best place is actually 2/3, a little bit to the right of halfway, Roger?
Yeah, it's okay. It's a little bit higher than that. Let me maybe turn the compression down another. There you go. That's about 2/3.
Roger, Roger. All right, well, that's about it, you know. So I got to get out of here. Good to talk at you, sir, and if you get a chance to join us next Friday afternoon, Roger?
I'll do that. All righty, 73, and have a good afternoon, evening.
Roger, Roger. 3's that way, sir. And that will wrap it up for the QSO-VLOG network for this Friday afternoon. We've enjoyed it. Hope you have. And if so, maybe you could join us next Friday. We start at 3:30 and go till 5, recording the whole way. And then we post it up on YouTube within the next couple of days. So if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. And on that page, you'll be looking for a QSO entitled My Group Aircheck 3819. Again, My Group Aircheck 3819. So 3's for now. Have a great weekend. We'll catch you later. We'll catch you next Friday. This is KC9VKV, and we'll be clear.
Thank you, Jim, very much. K4HEW 73.
Roger, 3's.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. V3, Deal.
3's, and we'll catch you guys later. Pleasure. This is KC9VKV. The wife's calling. We're out.